Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Titan Talk, the podcast that everybody in Mercer County is talking about. I'm your host, David Sullivan.
And I'm Keyshawn Edwards.
We're coming to you from the beautiful Dennis Davis Studios, located on the Evan Harlow campus in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. We're excited to bring you all the weekly news with special guests, commentary, and hopefully something that you can use. Don't forget to tell all your friends to subscribe to us on YouTube. Our guest today is Mr. Alvis Johnson.
Mr. Johnson is a graduate of Western Kentucky University. He earned a Master's of Arts from EKU, 28 years in the public school system. He was a high school teacher, athletic director, assistant principal, head football coach, head track coach, 8 years assistant director of athletics of UK, first African-American to be elected as president of the National Federation of High School Athletics, president in 1992 of KY's High School Athletic Association.
Mr. Johnson also served on the NCAA School Relations Committee, inducted into the Track and Field Hall of Fame, the Kentucky Hall of Fame in 2004. He was selected as the finalist for the Walt Disney Teacher of the Year Award in 1996. Honored in 2002 as one of the most successful football coaches in Kentucky's history, has won over 200 games. A successful businessman, president, chief operator of Harrodsburg Transportation, married for over 41 years with two sons, both successful NFL players and coaches in their own right, and now elected by Governor Beshear to serve on the state school board. Mr. Johnson, welcome. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That resume, when we were putting that together and researching your history, I have to say that made me seem very lazy. Your bio is absolutely fantastic. We're really excited that you're here today.
Yes, sir.
I've been blessed to have an opportunity to be in some areas where hopefully we made a difference.
Well, that's obvious by every person that we told today that you were coming had a story about you, all good too, I might add. They had a story where you either touched them or taught their son or daughter or whatever. So we're really excited. Thank you for coming today.
You're welcome. You're more than welcome.
Mr. Johnson, as we've noted, you've been successful in every aspect of your life, work and business, community. If you were writing a book, and you probably should, what would you say are some of the secrets to your success in life?
Well, my dad taught me a long time ago that hard work will always pay off for you. And so, my background is a farmer. I came from the farm. My dad was a sharecropper, and he worked very hard. And he instilled in me the drive to always try to work and be competitive in whatever area you were in.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that the farming aspect. I used to farm as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of
today.
hard work.
Yeah, that is.
It taught me to go to college.
Yeah, well, I'm no longer farming. I know. It's really hard.
Well, Mr. Johnson, you've been around a who's who of successful people throughout your life. Besides family, who inspired you today?
That's good.
Who inspired me besides family? I guess I look up to a lot of the old coaches. My high school coach, Pete Rembert, probably did as much to inspire me as anybody, because he was the one who instilled me to get involved in athletics. And we didn't have the resources to get me back and forth to practice. So every day he'd drive 13 miles down to pick me up.
Wow.
13 miles
That's
back.
dedication.
Yeah, so he instilled that in me.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's great.
Mr. Johnson, we've read that you've only had one losing season in 25 years. And I listened to an interview of you recently on tape, and you described that year as one of the worst times of your life, and you found no joy in that losing. Was there something that you learned about yourself from that experience, and how do you explain your incredible success of being named one of the most successful football coaches in Kentucky's history? What's behind that?
Well, first of all, you're right. Any good feelings about having a losing season. It was one of the worst times in my life. I had to learn how to handle that, and really, I've been blessed with some great athletes in my tenure here at Harrodsburg, and they always just bought in to what I was trying to do, because the first thing I show them, you got to show them you love them, and then you can work them as hard as you want to. As long as they know you care about them, truly care about them, they'll go to the wall for you. And my guys always did that for me.
That's awesome.
Well, Mr. Johnson, this is Black History Month. How do you view race relations today, especially in the light of the last several years?
Well, unfortunately, we're in a period now where we're probably slipping back a little bit because there's a rise of some racist groups in our country now, and they're making it hard for any of us to go forward. Certainly, race relationships are better today than they were 40 years ago. But we still got a ways to go in order to equality among the races.
Sir.
Mr. Johnson, you've been married 40 plus years. 40 plus years. That's absolutely astonishing. And especially in today's world. What kind of tips do you have for those of us who haven't gotten that far yet? What are some of your secrets to longevity in a long-term marriage, and how's that been? That's an amazing statistic, I think.
Just always say yes, ma'am.
Remember that, Keyshawn. Yes, ma'am. Well, that's good advice. I'll have to remember that.
Mr. Johnson, what are the differences, if any, in your opinion, between coaching and teaching students today versus when you were a teacher/coach?
The difference today,
Yes, sir.
you know, I almost don't want to answer that question because I think good coaches are good teachers because coaching is teaching. You know, my favorite part of coaching football is practice, where I get a chance to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing to me. And I was very fortunate to have some great classroom experiences at all. You know, I taught law and justice. I taught World Civ, and so I just dug in, just like I did on the football field, and I required my students to dig in, and consequently, we had some good experiences in the classroom, just like we had on the football field.
Mr. Johnson, is there any truth to the rumor when people were telling stories about you all this week, which is they have been? We heard the nickname the Paddler. Is that is there any truth to that, or do you want to comment on that? I know back in the day, even in my day when I was younger, you could. We were afraid of getting the paddle, and that kind of kept a lot of us in line. But obviously that's no longer a source of motivation.
Use the paddle because really and truly, I think it was effective in some situations.
It was for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very effective in some situations. So, I think I paddled long after the law said you couldn't. I pushed
the limit of that.
I pushed the limit of that, and consequently, students feared having to go in and get the paddle.
Yes, I
So
remember. I've told a couple of stories to them. They don't even believe it now. But, Ms. Johnson, you've been appointed to serve by Governor Beshear to the state school board, which is, I'm sure it's a incredible honor at the very end of all the things that you've done. Can you tell us what it's like, what you're going to do on the school board, some of the things that you would like to see on the agenda, and what are some of the things that you think may even affect the Mercer County school system? Tell us about how this is going to go.
Well, it is an incredible honor to be asked to serve on the state board of education, and anytime you go into a position, you have in the back of your mind some of the things you'd like to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And from day one, I mentioned that I thought some of the things we needed to do was to fund full day kindergarten and full day adult full day. I forgot the word I was looking for, but I think those are two things we would like to get done, and so that's been a topic of discussion. We also have discussed at great length how we close the gap between those who have the haves and the have-nots. And that-
Resources, right? Who
and
has those resources?
who has those resources? And normally the resources fall to those who are in the upper echelon of our society, and the poor, whether they be black or white or Latino. Sometimes they don't have the resources, because when you start behind, it takes more resources to climb out of that hole.
Right.
And so that's certainly one of the things we'll be looking at. And also this testing thing. You know, we do a lot of testing.
Too much.
We got to make sure that we know what we're testing for, and then we got to be able to really analyze the results when those tests come back.
Right.
So those are some things that I'm concerned about.
Well, that's got to be exciting. I saw something recently where they were talking about in preschool and kindergarten, they're finding more and more studies are finding out that is just the key part of not only at home but in school, the progress that they're going to show later on. That's
Right.
just a critical time, and you have to feel like that there's a lot of kids sort of falling in the gaps right now that aren't getting what they need.
They are. They really are. When you look at the test results, and we have over a long period of time, and we just see that there's an incredible difference between those kids in the lower socioeconomic groups, and most of those are kids of color, brown, black, Latino. Those kids are really struggling trying to keep up
Right.
with mainstream.
Well, what an honor to have you on that board to sort of champion those kind of causes, and then especially from a Harrodsburg-Mercer County point of view to have you on that board. Are the meetings open or are they closed?
Yeah, most of the meetings are open, and most of the meetings are recorded, so you can go YouTube and
Watch
them, watch them as well.
Okay, well, we'll definitely plan on doing that. That's exciting. Well, we're going to pause right now, if that's all right, for just a moment.